There lived a lonely gaffer on the edge of a dusty town. He toiled his whole life long just to earn a meager crown. The pension was a pittance, but as long as he had his wife, they'd share a laugh and navigate the choppy seas of life. But then the good Lord called her, and he took her by the hand, leaving Grandpa all alone in a quiet, empty land. Lost in grief and shadows with nothing left to do, he hammered out a coffin from some timber and some glue. He climbed inside to test the fit, a morbid place to weep. But worn out by the labor, he fell fast into a sleep. While he was busy snoring, a prowler light afoot slipped inside the cottage to collect some easy loot. Searched the kitchen and he ransacked every shelf until he saw the wooden box and crossed his wicked self. For there the corpse was lying cold and silent as a stone, with a gold ring on his finger and a chain of heavy bone. The thief, he didn't dither, didn't stop to say a prayer. He crept up to the coffin just to strip the body bare. But Grandpa was a-dreaming of his dearly parted bride. He saw her at the window from the great beyond's far side. She wore the very dress she'd worn the day they laid her deep, but now she had a pair of wings to guard him in his sleep. Like a mist upon the water, she was floating in the air, beckoning the old man, "Come and meet me, if you dare." Battling his terror and the superstitions of the old, he followed her outside despite the biting midnight cold. He couldn't tell if he was dead or somewhere in between, as he wandered through the garden to this ghostly holy queen. "My love," he asked, "have you returned to take me home with you?" But the specter only reached for him, and then the dream turned blue. For as she leaned to hug him, his shirt began to smoke. The fabric caught a phantom fire, hellish kind of joke. "Good Lord, I am a sinner, I am burning in the pit," he shouted in his slumber as the flames began to spit. And while he thrashed and wheezed inside that wooden box of pine, the thief was busy tugging on the ring of gold so fine. Now the thief had seen some trouble and he'd seen some sights of dread, but he didn't quite expect a roar from a man he thought was dead. The gaffer bolted upright, eyes a bulging, face aglow, just as the thief was pulling on his finger from below. The burglar turned his shade of white as pale as winter chalk. He tried to run, he tried to scream, he couldn't even walk. He clutched his chest, he gave a gasp, his heart gave out a thump, and he hit the floorboard sideways like a heavy, lifeless lump. The grandpa started crossing himself, shaking in his shoes. "I'm burning in my dreams," he cried, "and now I've got the blues. Who is this fella on my floor, and where did he come from?" He'd slept through half the burglary, and now he felt quite numb. He poured himself a glass of wine and sat down on the settee. "I need a drink to wrap my head around this devilry. If I call up the coppers and I tell them what I've seen, they'll throw me in a dungeon and they'll treat me mighty mean. They'll ask me, 'Listen, Pops, who was this coffin built to hold? And how'd you kill this stranger? Come on, let the truth be told.' He shook his head and drained his glass and said, 'It's plain to see, a subscription to some prison food is not the life for me.'